Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're playing, or I should say, continuing the phenomenal series from gUBBLOR, Equality Cages 109. Now, a couple of things. I think first off, gUBBLOR, I'm so sorry about the thumbnail. It's just when you have a title that is Equality Cages, zip tied and locked in, I you know, the title pretty much writes this thumbnail, I think. So when we were in China, we used to actually get involved quite a bit in pet rescues and dog rescue specifically. There's like a stunning number of stray dogs and cats in Shanghai. And in particular, Mrs. Sleuth just really wanted to actually help them as much as they can. I think I'm going to ask Mrs. Sleuth if I can actually find a link to the charity that she's been participating in. One of the things that they used to do was essentially try and capture them, help foster them, calm them down, get a vet to look after them, neuter them, and in particular, look for new homes for them and new families. One of those particular charities actually used to, as much as they possibly can, send the dogs and cats overseas to families that want to adopt them. So it's an option if you're thinking about saving a pet, getting a pet for your family. It's something you absolutely could do. And you can see from that thumbnail, that dog is all it really wants is to be out of that cage, out of that zip-tied, locked cage, and back to a loving family and home. One more thing I just want to mention before we get onto the puzzle. Now, you may have seen a community post asking for suggestions around some apparel and, mugs, caps, hats, and that sort of thing as something that potentially you could wear proudly when you're having and enjoying your puzzle time, such as this puzzle time Sudoku Sleuth mug that I'm enjoying my cup of coffee with. And I will need the coffee, I'm absolutely certain, because we're getting onto the harder series of equality cages. You may remember one that felt incredibly difficult, where you had to sort of jump onto letters and coloring and everything to really solve it. I have no idea what this is going to be like. It's 2 stars at least, though. Let's take a look at today's puzzle. So, Equality Cages 109 by gUBBLOR, zip-tied and locked in a cage. And rule set, so we can actually just get on with solving this. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so that means place the digits 1 through to 9, once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box, as highlighted by these thicker, darker black lines. Then we have equality cages. I'm going to come back to those. We've got Kropki dots. A back dot between cells indicates cells with a value of 2 to 1. So for example, if this was a 2, this could be 1 or 4. As long as one is double the other, you're absolutely good. There is also white dots between cells. If that was a 2, this would have to be 1 or 3, so that they are consecutive. Now, not all dots are shown, so nothing stops me from having 2 and 1 next to one another, or let's say 4 and 8 next to one another. I did say 4 and then typed in 3. That doesn't require a black dot, that doesn't require a white dot or black dot. So don't rely on negative constraints. Now, we also have zipper lines today. And I'm going to use this zipper line, and I'm probably going to do this as part of the solve, but I'm going to mark the middle of that line. And the way that zipper line works is essentially almost think of it as from the center, you're zipping it up, and you want to have at the zip point, the kind of the middle bit, there has to be a digit. And as you zip it up, all the pairs as they come together have to sum up to that middle section. That applies for any length as well. So if I sort of highlight this one, and let's say I put a 6 in here, then each of these pairs, you can see they are equal distant from the middle, have to add up to 6. That could be 1, 5, that could be 2, 4. I've clearly chosen a bad example here because it needs 3 different pairs, but you get the gist that these pairs have to add up to whatever value is in here. Same is true for every single zip line. If that was a 6, this could be 1, 2, 4, or 5, 1, 2, 4, or 5. Specifically, if that was a 2, this would have to be a 4 to make sure that the 2 of them add up to the value in the middle. Right, I'm actually tempted to sort of clear the screen quickly and just get onto equality cages that most of you are going to be familiar with by now. Now, equality cages must have an equal number of low digits, as in 1, 2, 3, or 4, and high digits, as in 6, 7, 8, and 9. But it also must have an equal number of even digits, 2, 4, 6, 8, and odd digits, 1, 3, 7, 9. Note it doesn't include the digit 5. You can never have a 5 inside an equality cage. And digits cannot repeat, although they're always in the same box, so that is, I guess, stating the obvious. So if we think about these cages, for example, and we place a 2 in here, that is a low even digit. I must have an equal number of low and high, odd and even, so I need a high odd digit, such as 7 or 9. Bad example because I've got a Kropki dot there and neither can be on the black dot. Right, you have an understanding of all the rules. You are ready to tackle it. You're ready to rescue these pets. I really will try and get a link to some of these rescues. See if you can adopt one if you're interested in for your family. And with all that said, link in the description down below for you to play along as usual. And all I have to do is restart the clock and see how I get on. So I did say when I was explaining zip ties, I'm going to mark the center of all of these zip ties so I don't have to kind of keep counting and bore you all with doing so. So essentially, I've just made sure that I know where the center is. There are 2 cells on either side of this center, and I know therefore that this is essentially the sum, and these 2 have to come up to a total that can only be placed in here. And I think that is, I've placed it correctly for all of these zip lines. Now, what I'm also noticing is a lot of these zip ties, I should say, have pairs that are in the same cage. And this is, the same equality cage, I should say. And this is very interesting for a couple of reasons. And, having done, I don't know by now, like 10, 11, I know it says 109, but we skipped ahead quite a bit to do easier ones before coming back to this. So something that I've learned over the series is there's a bit of a knack to equality cages. Because you see, the minimum any equality cage can ever be is 1 and 6. You need a low digit, you need a high digit. And that's the absolute minimum that you can make it. Now, the next minimum that you can make would be a 2, but then you can't have it with a 6 because they're both even. So it'd have to be a high odd digit and it would be 7. So really, the minimums that you can ever have in equality cages are 7 or 9. And essentially what I'm now seeing here is a whole bunch of 7 and 9s. Not sure I quite grasp the significance of it just yet. We'll come back to that. That have to be in these cells. Because the minimum here is 1 and 6, or the next one up from that is 2 or 7, as I showed you earlier. Now, I'm hugely suspicious about this being a 7. That just feels too low, because the only way I can get to a 7 in an equality cage is 1, 6. There is literally no other way of getting to a 7 without breaking the equality cage rules. 2, 5 doesn't work because there is a 5 in there. 3, 4, they're both low digits. That doesn't work. And then we're run out. So this has to be 9. This has to be 7. This becomes 1, 6. This 1 would be a 2 on this black Kropki dot. This 6 would be a 3 on this black Kropki dot. Don't know what this is yet. But it is a black Kropki dot away from whatever this side is. So let's think about options. If this is 1, that would be a 2. That's way too small because that would be a minimum of 1 and 2. That would get me to a 3. So that doesn't work. 2 and 4 does with a double 2. 3 and 6 doesn't because I've already used the 6. 4 with an 8 doesn't because 4 with 2 or 3 won't get me to a total of 8. So this is actually forced. 2, 4, 2. And we're off to an excellent start. Handful of digits in under 3 minutes. What could make us to complain, really? Let's carry on thinking about options. What do I want to think about? I'm actually tempted to think about this now, this zip tie, because you can see that with 1 and 2 out of the picture, the minimum I can make this is 3, 5, making this an 8. So this is 8 or 9. in any, well, I think it's just 8 actually, because 9, 1 8 is not available, 2 7 is not available, 3 6 is not available, and 4 5 is not available. That's just an 8. This is 3 5. And these two now are 7 9. We'll figure that out in a second. I say in a second, I can actually figure it out right now. Take a look at box 5. So I've got a 9 on this zip line. And because 0 is not an option, I can never put a 9 anywhere in here. I can't do something like this. Although it looks right, you know, if you can count 0 as even, which is debatable, I've got a low even digit and a high odd digit, but of course, this is Sudoku, there are no zeros. So the 9 is not in any of these 6 cells. The 9 has to be on the zip line. And for the exact same reason, I can't do 9 and 0 for adding up a second 9. Anyway, that would also repeat it. The only place that the 9 can be on the zip line is in the middle. So that's 9, and therefore that's a 7, that's a 9. And I can probably fill in these equality cages. In fact, it gives me this 7, which gives me another 1 6 pair. If that's a 1, that would be a 2. If that's a 6, that would be, well, it's not 5 or 7, because 7 is already placed. That would be a 5. 2 5 to add up to 7, that's another 2 5. Lovely. This is flowing very smoothly, gUBBLOR. Let's think about pairs that add up to 9 that fit in equality cages. So 1 8, not an option. 2 7 for this pair is. 3 6, not an option because the 6 is not available. And 4 5 never works. In fact, where does 5 go in this box? Because 5 can never be inside the equality cage. This is a 4 5 pair. That's a 4 looking at this cell. That's the 5, that's the 4. And we can start writing in some options. So this is 2 7. That 2 5 tells us that's the 2, that's the 7. Then I need 3 6 and 1 8. And this is not the 1 8 because of this. And in fact, this is the 1 6. So that's not the 1, that's the 1, that's 8. And then I've got a 6 looking in here at the 3 6 example. So that's not the 6, that's the 3, that's the 6. That 3 gives me the 5 and 3. Oh, that 2, of course, gives me way earlier, this 1 and 6 with the black Kropki dot. I just didn't notice it for some reason. And then we're off already into box 2. We need 3, 8, and 9, I'm going to say. I'm just going to pencil mark them in all just so I don't have to do my extremely slow scanning. And then I think this is 1 2 7. And then let's just take a look at what this is, because I'm hugely suspicious. This cannot be a 3. You know, the minimum I can have on this branch is a 4, so that's not a 3. That can't be a 9, because that would require 9 and 0 and then a repeating 9. We've gone through that. That's not a 9. Now, if that is an 8, that would have to be a 1, which isn't allowed to get to a 9. So that's just 3. That's not 3. Yeah, I can type, I promise. That 3 has to add up with either a 5 or a 6 to get to 8, 9. So that's not a 4. This 4, 5, 6 has to add up with something to add up to 8 or 9. 4 stunningly works. I can do a double 4 to get to an 8. I can also do 4 with a 5. And I can't do 6 with 2 to get to 8. Now, if I want to get to 9, I have 4, 5 we've established. 5, 4 is available. And I guess 6, 3 is available. Is that everything? Is that really all the options? I don't know. I felt I didn't go through it systematically. And sorry about this. I may have to do this again. So options that add up to 8 or 9. I think I've covered. So if I just focus on 4, it'll be 4 or 5. If I just focus on 5, it is 3 or 4. And if it's 6, it's just 3 because 2 is not available. So yeah, that is all the options. Right, let's keep it going. I'm actually not entirely certain where to go next. I'm sort of thinking about this cage because we have this 7, 9 pair here. I can do a bit of Sudoku, of course. Where does 9 go? It can only be in here, in this box. We may as well just fill these in. I've got 3, 4, and 8. The 3 and 8 are up here. This is the 4. This 3 could go with a 6, and then obviously that would require a 1 to get to 7. Presumably I could do 6, 3. Yeah, I can do that. 6, 3 to get to 9. In fact, 3 and 8. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Let's just finish the equality cage and just think about what these two mean for that zip. So 6 is an option. 8 can't go with a 4 because it's not available. So that is just 6. Yep, I'm convinced of that. That's 3 and 8 resolved. 1 and 3 are still an option because they can add up to 7 or 9. We don't know which yet. The 3 could go with 4 or 5. Seemingly both are available to add up to, not 5. It would be a 6 to get to 9. So it is just 3 with a 4. This is a 7. That's a 1. So I hope I'm not confusing anyone right now because sort of half confused myself there. And that's this side resolved. That's not a 1. That's not a 7. That 6 tells me that this is a 5. A 5 I can type, I promise. That 5 has to add up to 8 or 9. So that's not a 5 anymore. This is 3 or 4. I've really confused myself. The 5 goes with the 3. So let me just undo that step for a second. 5 and 3 tells me that that's the 8. That's the 9. Now 4 and 6, I could do double 4. And the 6, the 2 is not available, I remember. So that is double 4. 4, 6, and then 1, 2, and 7 not resolved yet. Sorry for the messy solve. I don't know why I just keep jumping to the wrong place. 7s, you can see 7, 7 eliminates all of these. 7, 7 eliminates all of these. It gives us a 7 on the zipper line, which is not a bad place to ever be when you know what's on the zip line, or at least in the center. These 1s means there is no 1 in here. There is no 2. So the absolute minimum I can make this is 3 and 6. Yeah, because 2, 4, and 5 are not available. So that's the 3, that's the 6. I'm just pointing at this 6, telling us that it gives us the order, and that's a 9. That also gives us a 9 at the top, just Sudoku with these 2 9s, eliminating every other option. And I need a 7, something that adds up to 7. Is 1, 6 are not an option. Can't put either in this cell. 2, 7, not an option. No, it's not 2, 7. It's meant to be 2, 5. 2, 5 looks like an option. I could do 2 and 5. And then 3, 4 isn't an option. I can't put either in this cell. So that is forced with 2 and 5. Complete this column. 4. Yep. These 2 are 1 8s. That 1 tells me the order. That's 1. That's 8. Should be able to write in the remainder. Well, at least pencil mark them. I have 5. 3, 5 I'm going to say. That 3 tells me, again, the order. 3, 5. I need 8 and 2. That 8 gives me the 8. The 2, not a 2, doesn't help me resolve any of these. Not to worry. What do we need to finish this row? 5 and 7. Remember, 5 can never be in an equality cage, so the 5 couldn't have been here. I would break it. That would be a 7. That's a 5. I've got 2 high odd digits. I need 2 low even digits, 2 and 4. These 4s tells me that's the 4, that's the 2. I need to add up to a 5. 2 goes with a 3, 4 goes with a 1. Then just write in the remaining digits. That would be a 6. That would be an 8. And like I said, this is flowing superbly smoothly. We just know what these are. We can just write them in. It's 3, 6 again. And I don't know the order this time, which gives me another 9. If that's a 6, that would have to be a low odd digit. It's not 3, that would be a 1. If that's a 3, it has to be a high even digit, and neither is available to 6, 8. So that's 6, that's 1, that's 3, to make sure it all works. These 8s tells me this is an 8. Then I need 4 and 5. That 5 tells me that's the 5, that's the 4. And we're basically on the home run now. 1s for this column could only be in here. It gives me the 2, 7, and 1. I can write this in. It's just an 8. And just Sudoku to bring it all home. Where does 2 go? 2 goes here, 3 goes there, 4 is already in, 5 is in here, 6 is somewhere, is in there, and then 7, and if I've not made any mistakes, 9 for the finish. What a phenomenal puzzle, gUBBLOR. Yet another phenomenal one for the series. I'm not sure if this is truly a 2-star difficulty rating. And I don't know if it's just because it's so much earlier in the series, and we've cheated and did quite a few easier ones later in the series, that at this point I've sort of developed a bit of a knack around, the 1-6s, 2-7 pairs that just helped me immediately with the 7-9s and, got me going. So it could be that if you're not as familiar with the variant, your solve time may be a little bit longer than what I've done today. Regardless, thank you for the puzzle, gUBBLOR. Hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle. I certainly did. And the video. And just one last plug. Please do vote on that community post. Let me know what you're thinking. I can tell you that Mrs. Sleuth has already demanded the Sudoku Sleuth logo to be one of the things that I do add. So I will be doing that regardless of the votes. But Mrs. Sleuth gets to decide the rules. Other than that, see you back for the next video. Bye-bye for now.